can't handle the truth.
In this video, I want to give you guys my impressions / review on Microsoft's Gamescom conference. First of all, we're going to be talking about Microsoft's relationship with the Japanese developers. As we already know, there is a fact that they have no more relationship. There was a little bit of one last generation, but Microsoft used a lot of money to get these timed exclusives, these Japanese RPGs. They paid Square Enix tons and tons of money to pay attention to them and not to Sony, resulting in games that would have been PlayStation 3 exclusives, Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy Versus 13, games like A Star Ocean, games that never saw the light of day on the original Xbox, never were liked by the Xbox gamers ever. Not like, games like Gears of War, which all Xbox fans love. They don't want any Japanese RPGs. They just want Gears and Halo and a little bit of Forza. They can't really decide between Forza and Need for Speed because, every time Need for Speed goes up against Forza, it always wins. It's weird. I don't know. But this is funny. This pattern is funny. Like, okay, so they canceled the newest Gears of War in Japan right before Tokyo Game Show, which they are also have canceled. They're not going to Tokyo Game Show of 2015 to have a conference, and it's just funny. They're not going to be on the stage. They're not going to be talking about it. Do you want to know why? They don't have any games. Not next year, not this year, from the Japanese developers. And without that, you don't have a time filler. We have third-party titles. We have first-party titles. And we have a lot of those second-party Japanese RPGs that you guys know and love in the United States as well. It's what made up the amazing library of the PS2. And for Phil Spencer to say something so dumb yesterday, he says Sony is not gobbling up third-party exclusives. It's buying them. This is something that Microsoft did all last gen. Whether it was third-party developers, second-party developers, they were just buying up. Call of Duty, prime example. Multiple E3s to the point that it got boring and predictable that Microsoft was on stage with Activision announcing a brand new Call of Duty game. Brand new map packs, new guns, new skins, and all of this other bullshit coming to Xbox Live first. Yeah, but you're not doing it, Phil. Your company's not still doing it. Because this is your dumbass at Gamescom few days ago announcing exclusive content for FIFA. How sneaky is that to give the Europeans something that you already know they love? And you already know more of them brought FIFA last year, 2014, and the year before that, 2013, on the PS4, and brought a PS4 for those games exclusively for PlayStation side. So for him to come out on stage and say, you're going to get this and this and this exclusive on Xbox Live, and we're going to bundle it. Okay, we're going to bundle it. We're going to give you either 1 month of EA access or either 12 months of EA access, and you get to play FIFA before you do on other platforms. You have to drop some money in EA's lap for them to agree to that. And it has to be a pretty big chunk. Not only that, Homefront Revolution is getting an exclusive Xbox Live beta, and many, many more third-party exclusive contracts were made at Gamescom just days ago. And Phil Spencer, crying to an interviewer yesterday, is bitching about Sony buying up third-party exclusives. It's funny. People want to work with Sony. It's happened since the PlayStation 1 in 1996. I don't understand how he doesn't know history. But, come on, man. He's an Xbox. Crap Gamer and Next Gen 720, they don't ever do research, so Why would I expect their leader to do any? Let's continue. Crackdown 3 effectively turns the Xbox One into the most powerful console ever made. Let's remember, cell shade is the most easiest art style to do in video games. It allows you to put a lot of content in your game with cell shade. We had a cell shade game win Game of the Year by the name of Walking Dead. Other games that year looked tons a lot better than that game, more interactive than that game, but it still got Game of the Year and it got a HD remake on the current consoles. So it's just funny how people can say, oh, Crackdown is doing 100% destructibility. Is it gonna look good? Is it gonna look like Infamous Second Son? Is it gonna look like Infamous First Light? Is it gonna look good like Grand Theft Auto 5? Is it gonna look like Mafia 3? Is it gonna look good? Ask yourself that. Is it gonna look good? Can you play it in single player? That's another question. Because I'm curious. Multiplayer begins summer 2016. Summer ranges between June and August. So this game is releasing between June and August 2016, but multiplayer begins summer 2016. They have no confirmation on single player. Not have they hinted, talked about it, or showed it in this short 2 minute and 27-second trailer that I have up right here. I'm very confused about that. Let's move on. Quantum Break. Besides Scalebound, which I can cover real quick, Scalebound, made by a Japanese developer, a game that's a RPG. The main character has a sword and shield on his back. Very cool. Um, the combat reminded me a lot of Final Fantasy XIV. The developer that makes Scalebound, the Japanese developer, he did Bayonetta. He's famed for using other game developers' fighting styles, combat styles, and all of that other stuff. He's known for doing that shit, so it's not a big shock. It was pretty much pissed me off because I just got finished playing Final Fantasy 15 maybe a couple days ago, but I was like, it's not that bad. There's a lot of frame rate problems. You got a dragon bouncing around and all of this other shit. We don't know if the game was being ran using the cloud, or we don't know if the game was being ran on single player. But we already know, back in the day, 2013, Forza 5 came out on the Xbox One. A lot of people said that when they could not connect to the Xbox One and you had to play Forza offline, it downgraded the graphics and the performance of the title. Microsoft, just like a professional athlete, needs steroids to become better. The Xbox One is dog shit. It cannot do what the PS4 can do offline. It needs the online cloud. It needs that additional help to compute, to make it look better, make it run smoother. It can't do it by itself. Microsoft is telling the public that the Xbox One is a weak piece of shit. That we need to use our Windows computing power to strengthen our shitty system. And that is why I believe Scalebound had a couple hiccups with the frame rate and the slowdowns that it did. This game right here pissed me off also. They changed it. And that's what I had to do. That's the comparison that I was going to make with Scalebound. The main character they made so American. It almost felt like they cheated the developer out of his vision, out of his dream. He's a Japanese developer. He clearly made a Japanese RPG. There was points where the main character kicked open the treasure chest, to get some points. And, experience points were flying all around for killing the enemies and all of that stuff. It's clearly a Japanese RPG that Microsoft wanted to gear towards the American Western market. And they did a very good job of that by changing this dude's game into a douchebag RPG. The main character has fucking headphones, for God's sake. Same type of shit they did with Sunset Overdrive. Short hair, headphones. It really pissed me off that they made this developer change his art style, change his character design. They did the same thing on Quantum Break, but for a much different reason. You got the main character that played Iceman for a number of X-Men movies, much more well known than some random person that you don't know. Um, they did spice up the graphics, but they turned it into a fucking shooter. The Quantum Break that we saw before did not look like the shooter that I saw, and it was very surprising. And after watching more than a few seconds, I got very, very bored because it's more of the fucking same. I don't want to keep seeing shooters. I've saw them for a whole generation. I don't need any more. So I was very disappointed on how they changed Quantum Break and also how they made the developer change Scalebound. Very disappointed in that. Last thing we're going to talk about, again, the cloud. With Forza, my impressions, my review for Forza coming at a later date. I'm going to be doing a different type of style to talk to you guys more about that title. But before I end, I want everybody to understand there was another interview just like this interview, where Phil Spencer spilled his guts to an interviewer about how he feels about Sony buying up all third-party exclusives, even though we can see that they clearly paid EA a lot of money to get some more content. That one of the developers working with Square Enix for the Tomb Raider game said that the reboot is a trilogy. Okay? And I've heard this before. It was a game called Mass Effect. Do we all remember that? There were rumors, there were confirmations that Mass Effect 1 would never come to the PS3. And it did. Not only did they do that, EA bundled Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 together, gave it to the PlayStation gamers for $40. I remember that, because I was going to buy it. But it's the same thing, okay? The reboot, the first Tomb Raider reboot came to the PS3 and the 360 at the same time. Sold better on the PS3 compared to the 360. Same thing happened when they made an HD remaster of the Tomb Raider reboot. Released it on the Xbox One and the PS4. Sold better on the PS4. Looked better on the PS4. Magically, the follow-up exclusive to Xbox One. And then developers have to struggle a year in advance to come out and tell PlayStation gamers, don't worry, it's not coming only to the Xbox One. It's coming to the PS4 also. You just gotta wait a whole fucking year.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. So you get nothing. You lose.